So in measurement lesson number 3, we're going to be taking a look at the surface area of a pyramid and a cone. Now, if we think of a pyramid, we think of a four-sided shape with triangles on either side and a square base. That's mostly what a pyramid would be. A cone we definitely think of as the normal thing, which is circular and it comes to a point. But if we want to just go a little bit more in detail, we can think of a pyramid is any shape which has one base with sides. Again, these are normally triangular sides, leading to a point on top. And I'm going to put this into brackets up on top here. Just those are usually triangular sides. For the ones we deal with, we're going to only deal with triangular sides. But it deals with a one base. Now, it could be any shape. Really, we're going to deal with, for the most part, regular shapes: squares, circles, triangles, rectangles, polygons, which has triangular sides which lead to a point on top. So right here, you'll notice that we have a pyramid. Now, this pyramid you can see has it looks like a square or rectangular base, and then it has a point on top. And it's very important that we recognize that it is that point on top. A pyramid is going to hurt to sit on. Okay? A prism does not. A prism usually is flat on top, at least as long as the prism is solid enough. Now, we have a couple of things that we have to recognize with a pyramid. The first is at the bottom is our base shape. Let's spell that correctly here. That is our base shape. In this case here, it's a rectangle. Okay? We can recognize that that is our base shape. We have two other measurements that we may be given. The first one is this slant, sorry, I'm just going with middle here. This piece right here, which goes from the peak to the middle of the base, this is called our height. We're going to denote it with the letter H. That's the height of a pyramid. It goes from the point on top to the middle of the base, okay? And it's at a 90-degree angle. The other is what we're going to need for surface area, and that is the length on the side of the pyramid, which goes from the point on top to the middle of one of the sides. And what we're going to call that is the slant height. We're going to give it the letter S. Okay, so we have our height, which goes from the point on top to the middle of the bottom, and we have our slant height, which goes along the side of our pyramid, or along kind of the height of the triangle, which is this piece right here. Okay. For surface area, we need the slant height. If we're given the height, we're going to have to do a little bit extra work to solve for the slant height. Now, if we look at a pyramid, we have two different pieces to the pyramid. We have the lateral area, which is the area of these triangles. Okay, so lateral area is the area of the triangles. It's our sides. If you want to think of it as our sides, that's our lateral area. The other area that we have is our base area. Okay, and so that is the bottom piece. Okay, this little arrow is kind of pointing to the base area. That's our bottom piece. Whatever shape our base is, we can then use the formula to figure out what our base area is. Okay. Now, if it's a square, that makes it fairly straightforward. If it's any other shape, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But again, we can still solve for that. Now, a couple of notes and a couple of things to just take a note of. The base of a pyramid can be any shape. A square, a rectangle, a triangle, or any polygon. We're going to, in fact, look at a circle one, but we have a special name. We call that a cone. So the base of a pyramid can be any shape. And it's important that we recognize that it's not just a square, even though that might be the most common one. A pyramid has two measurements to take into account. Okay. The first of those measurements is the height. And as we mentioned, that's H. And this is the distance from the peak to the middle of the base. Okay? So it's from the peak to the middle of the base. And we showed that up on top here. It's from the peak to the middle of the base. It is always a line that is perpendicular to the ground, so it's always going to be at a right angle. Okay? That's our height. Okay? With a solid pyramid, if I had an example here, it'd be tough to calculate the height because we'd have to go through the object from the peak to the middle of the base. The other one, the other measurement to take into account is our slant height. Okay? And this is the length of the side of the pyramid. It's the length of the side of the pyramid. As you mentioned here, it's from the peak to the middle of one of the sides of the base. Now, if the base is a regular shape, all sides are the same. Again. Okay. So if it is a regular shape, so all sides are the same, so we're talking about like an equilateral triangle or a square or a polygon, then there's only one slant height that we have. So it's one slant height and it's the same for all. If the base is not regular, and really the only case that we're going to be looking at in this unit is a rectangle or a non-equilateral triangle, then more than one slant height is needed. Okay, we're not going to worry too much about that right now. We're going to look first at regular shapes when it comes down to finding surface area, but we will get into non-regular ones or a rectangle a little bit later on. All right, so the area of the pyramid can be broken up into two sections. The base area, okay, so this is the bottom of the pyramid, or if it's standing straight up, and we're often going to see it as being standing straight up. And we also have the lateral area, which is all the sides or triangles added together. Okay, so lateral area is all the sides or the triangles added together. And I'm just going to quickly put that into here. It's going to let me. Okay, these are our triangles. There we go. Okay. Sometimes we only need to find the lateral area if the base, let's say, is on the ground or not seen, such as in a contextual problem. But for the most part, we're going to be wanting to find everything or just the lateral area. Now, when we're talking about a square-based pyramid, we can unfold it to create a net. This is the net of a square-based pyramid. You notice the bottom is a square, and then the sides are all triangles that when we fold it back together is going to create a pyramid with a point on top. With this one here, we have a couple of dimensions that we deal with. Firstly, we have the base length. Okay, we have the base length. Now, because it's a square, that's the same all the way around. Okay, so that's going to be the same all the way around. We also have this measurement right here, okay, which would be the height of a triangle, but because we're doing a pyramid, this is going to be our slant height. Okay, so that's going to be our slant height. Now, when we are doing the pyramid, these are the only two measurements we need. We need the base length and we need the slant height, at least for a square-based pyramid. Now, when we want to try to find the base, so here's where we're going to determine the formula. Okay, the base, our area, is equal to b squared. Okay, so it's equal to b squared. The lateral area, which would be the triangles, and I'm going to write it out as lateral area, is our triangles. Is going to be, just equal sign there, we're going to have our base length times our slant height, and then divide by 2. And then So that's to find one of them because it's a triangle, right? Base times height divided by 2. Here we have our base is b and our slant height is our height. So we divide, and then we divided that by 2. Now because there are 4 of them there, we multiply that by 4. Okay, and so we do our base times our slant height and divided by 2. That's our area of our triangle. Multiply it by 4 because there's 4 triangles. Depending on how many triangles we have will depend on what we multiply that by. Now to find the surface area of any pyramid, okay, so I'm just going to write out as surface area is equal to the base area plus the lateral area. So if we want to think of this as being an equation, okay, the surface area, our base area is b squared. Okay, that's what we get right here, it's b squared. And we're going to add our lateral area, which is base times slant height divided by 2 times 4. Now, if we divide something by 2 and then multiply by 4, these can kind of cancel out a little bit. 4 divided by 2 is just 2. So we can actually write it as 2 times base times slant height. And that would be our formula for a square-based pyramid. Now again, this only works for a square-based pyramid. It doesn't work for other ones. It just works for a square-based pyramid. Now I'm going to put the examples into a second video as we go through, but it's important to remember this is just for a square-based, not for just a, this is the regular pyramid, base area plus lateral area.